Hello and welcome to the Cameo Show. I'm your host, Cameo, and today I want to talk briefly about something that I was kind of ruminating about the other day. I don't have any scientific research or anything to back what I'm about to say. It was just something that popped into my mind. So I figured I would share it. It's something to contemplate and maybe to think about from a curiosity standpoint. So have you ever been sitting around a campfire and the smoke starts blowing in your direction and you're like, okay, and you get up and move, and then it feels like the smoke follows you to where you move to, and you're like, okay, what the hell? And then you get up and move, and then it feels like the wind shifts again and the smoke follows you. And it doesn't matter where you sit around this campfire, the smoke follows you. And it's like this crazy phenomenon. How is that even happening, right? But maybe you've been there. I know I have multiple times. It feels really weird to even think about as being possible, but hey. So I was thinking about this idea, this concept of the smoke following you around the campfire as it relates to luck or mindset. And this is where it gets a little weird because I know you can't really control what the smoke's doing or where you're sitting, and you try to move and dodge it. And that's where it's a little different than this thought of luck or mindset. But I was thinking how it's similar in the way that sometimes it can feel like when you have something bad happen, you try to get up and move away from it, and then it feels like something else bad happens. And then you get up and you try to move away from it and something else bad happens. And you're like, geesh, I'm on this string of bad luck. What is happening? Why is this happening to me? Over and over and over again. I keep moving. I keep changing course. But I still keep running into this bad luck, right? And sometimes that bad luck is really bad stuff. So I don't mean to minimize these things, but just as a general overarching idea. And so I wonder if sometimes it isn't just getting up and moving. It isn't this idea of just quote unquote moving or running away from something. It's not just getting up and moving to another space around the fire. Sometimes it might be this idea of changing the fire you're sitting around, or removing yourself from being around that fire where the smoke can get to you altogether as it relates to luck or situations. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but to remove yourself from the situation where the bad luck keeps finding you, to get up and change course, and not just something that's comfortable, but something that's extremely different. It's hard because the fire, for example, is warm and cozy, right? Especially if it's cold outside. It's inviting, crackles, it smells good, you can make s'mores, right? Who wants to leave the fire? But if the smoke keeps following you around the fire, no matter where you sit, sometimes you got to call it a day, right? I can't take this smoke. And you get up and you walk away, and you go in your camper, or you go in the house, or you go do something else away from the fire because the smoke has just become too much. And so again, it's more of just a thought, more of just a curiosity and finding relatable ideas. But sometimes it's really comfortable to stay in a spot, and even though it feels like nothing great is happening or the smoke keeps following you, you just keep getting up and moving, but staying in that comfort area. And it does require you to get away from the smoke, to get away from the bad luck, to step away from the fire, to step away from the situation, the people, the places, the things, the behaviors, to completely change the setting. Just a quick thought. I think that also applies to things that are good, right? So sometimes you sit around the fire and the smoke doesn't bother you, and you're like, I can sit here all night. Same deal when things are good and it feels like things continue to be good, and you get lucky, and I get lucky, and I get lucky, and all these great things happen. You aren't prompted really to make any change, and that's fine too. But I think just this idea that if you use the fire and the smoke as the visual, this idea that at any point the wind could shift, and the smoke could find you keeps you curious. It keeps you pushing. It keeps you like from getting too comfortable in any given situation. Good or bad. So I wonder if you can think of ways that this smoke and fire analogy or visual applies to your life. If you found yourself in a position where you keep trying to make change or get up and move away from the smoke, but it feels like the smoke or the bad luck continues to follow you, are you making a big enough shift? Are you making the judgment call to walk away from the fire even though it's warm and inviting or comfortable? That's just something I've been thinking about. And I hope it gives you something to think about. I'm curious what you think, so please let me know. Really, if you listen to this and you think about it and you talk about it or you share it, I'm curious what your thoughts might be about that crazy idea that popped into my head one day. Thanks for listening.